Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is FPL. I'm actually going to be going through some transfer tips ahead of Game Week 30. That is going to be players to buy, keep, sell, and avoid ahead of Game Week 30. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank you all guys for the continued support on the channel. Finally managed to hit 950 subscribers, and the goal is 1,000. So if you're new around here or just a regular viewer of the channel, don't forget to subscribe, make sure you hit that sub button, make sure you leave a like, and also make sure you hit that bell. Don't miss any content going up on the channel. Also, let me know down in the comments your transfer thoughts ahead of Game Week 13. And without wasting any much time, let's get straight into it. So first, we're going to go through players to keep ahead of Game Week 13. The first player we're going to go for is going to be Morgan Rogers. I think he's not the most popular choice at the moment because, of course, the underlying stats in terms of FPL are not looking great. No goals or assists in the last four games, but I think very good fixtures coming up for Rogers and Aston Villa as a whole in United, West Ham, Forest, Sunderland, and Fulham. But I think if you're thinking of selling Rogers, I wouldn't say it's a bad idea. But personally, just because of the blank game for Man, especially for Man City and Arsenal, and then him having a very good game at 31 in West Ham. With that being said, of course, they had a very good game against Wolves the other day, and it looked absolutely shocking. So, yeah, I think if you're selling him, it is what it is. But I think if you want to keep him, this is the main reason to keeping him because of just that West Ham game in game 31. Then the next player is Haaland, who's also not a very popular pick at the moment, among the most sold players alongside Rodgers, of course. But I do think for Haaland, 2 goals and 2 assists in his last five is not bad, but I think for someone at 14.6 million, that's not very, very good. And I also think I would definitely want to hold him for that West Ham fixture and then maybe sell him for game week 31. Maybe bring him back after they play Chelsea, and that's not because it was a very tough fixture, then bring him back for the Burnley and Everton. But if you're thinking of keeping him, I think you just go with him throughout the whole season because I think the fixtures coming up are not really, really tough, apart from that Chelsea and Arsenal game. And I think he's going to have a very, very good performance in the other fixtures. Also, who's to say he cannot have a good performance against Chelsea and Arsenal? Then the next player is going to be Wilson. Of course, I missed 2 games, if I'm not wrong, because of injury. I think he missed the first game. He was subbed off early because of injury. Then missed the next game because of the injury. But rumors saying he's going to be potentially back. And also, if he's not back, I think I'll just bench him for the Nottingham Forest game because I think for game week 31 against Burnley, I really want Fulham player in there, and I think Wilson is going to be the guy. Of course, you can just go for someone like Iwobi and just hope he finishes the same amount of points as Wilson. But yeah, I think I just go for Wilson in there and hope he's going to be playing against Burnley, and I hope he's able to have a very, very good game in that fixture. All of the players I've gone as players to keep ahead of game 30, of course, Rogers and Haaland. Not the ideal partnership people want to see in the video as players to keep, but that's the two I've gone for, or the three rather, if you include Wilson. So now let's look at the players to buy ahead of game 30. Then we're going to go through the players to buy ahead of the game 30. And the first player is going to be Semenyo, but of course the elephant in the room is going to be that blank game 31. If you do not have any means of benching him in game 31, advise not to buy, of course. But if you have a way of shoehorning him into onto the bench and have a starting 11 for game 31, then maybe just buy him and hope he's going to be able to perform. Play West Ham in game 30. I think he's going to have a very good performance in there. 3 goals and 1 assist in his last five. He's been the main man for Man City in the last 5 games, and I think he's been very, very good as well. And as I mentioned with Haaland, good fixtures after West Ham, and good to have a blank, of course. Then it's Chelsea and Arsenal, not the best fixtures on paper, but still can have a very good performance. Then Burnley, Everton, Brentford. Definitely want to have Semenyo in there with the current form that he has in the team. With no injuries concern or anything like that, and no Pep Roulette screwing us over, I do think that Semenyo is a very, very decent pick and is definitely a must buy for me. Then the next player is Thiago, of course, not a must buy for him, but very good fixtures coming up for Brentford as they are pushing to maybe get into the Europa League space. If they need someone like Thiago, the main goal scorer, to have a very, very good run of fixtures and he will to score a lot of goals. Not the best fixture, or not the best game against Bournemouth in game week 29, but maybe that's going to be something of a one-off. They have Wolves, Leeds, Everton, Fulham, and United in their next five. I do expect him to come out with a lot of points in those five games. And the last player on the list of the players to buy is Hill from Bournemouth, 4.2 million, very cheap. Also been very decent to be fair to him. Two clean sheets and two assists in his last five games. But of course, not the best fixtures coming up for Bournemouth after that Burnley game where they play United, Arsenal, and Newcastle. Very low chance of keeping clean sheets in that fixture. On paper, of course, you never know, especially with Manchester United. But I think for him at 4.2 million, there's also a chance you might just bench him because he's that cheap and he's not going to affect you whatsoever. And that's why I've gone for Hill in there just because it's very cheap, offers a lot of budget friendly, and also able to distribute the money elsewhere in this end times of the game. So those are the players I've gone as players to buy. I think those are three very solid players. Now let's look at the players to avoid ahead of game 30. So now we can look at the players to avoid ahead of Gameweek 30. The first player I've gone for there is Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Of course, he's going to come with a lot of surprise from the people who managed to reach this far. I think it's been very decent. It's been very good price as well at 5.5 million. But the only concern with Nottingham Forest players is are they going to prioritize the Europa League or the relegation battle? And they prioritize both of them. Is there going to be rotation risk for some of the players like Anderson, Morgan Gibbs White, are they going to rotate a lot? Because of course they're going to be tired leg with the amount of games they're going to be playing, and that's why I've gone for Anderson as a player to avoid. But if you want to buy him, I think it's still a very decent option, very decent price. You can able to bench him if push comes to shove. But I do think for me, I know is a part of my players to avoid. The next player is Sesko. I don't have gone for Sesko. Of course, the same as Anderson, just a rotation risk. I think United play better with Ahmad in the team compared to Sesko. And to be fair to Sesko, has been decent off the bench, so there's still that potential that he can come off the bench and able to affect the game. So if you want to risk him, definitely do that. But the main reason I'd avoid Sesko is just because of the rotation with Ahmad Diallo. Then the next player is going to be Senesi. I know you're going to say, why have I gone for Hill as a player to buy and Senesi as a player to avoid? The reason I've done that is because Senesi is 5 million and Hill is 4.2 million. I think you'd feel more terrible if you come to bench Senesi instead of benching Hill at 4.2 million. As I mentioned with Hill, very tough fixtures coming up for Bournemouth. They do have Burnley, then you have United, Arsenal, and Newcastle. Very low ceiling for clean sheets, especially for someone who's 5 million. I think there are better options out there, and definitely Senesi is going to be an avoid for me, and just go for Hill if you are really want a Bournemouth player. So the players I've gone as players to avoid, and let's look at the players to sell ahead of game 30. So for the players to sell ahead of Gameweek 30, the first player is Enzo Fernandez. No goals in his last five games. He's been absolutely shocking. And the main reason for that is because he's playing in a deeper role, because Cole Palmer is back in the team playing at that CRM. And also Enzo is off penalties because of Palmer, and that's why they're deep in form. And I think if you still own Enzo Fernandez, sell him immediately. Then the next player is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Nothing against him. I think we don't have the worst fixtures coming up, but I think it's become to the point where every million is going to matter because of improving the team in other areas of the pitch. And at 5.7 million, with only one goal in the last five games, I think I'd rather sell him and go for someone like Mane and Krupi and able to use that funds to upgrade other areas of the pitch. And yeah, that's why we're going to sell him. And then the next player is going to be Declan Rice. Two assists in his last five games is not good enough for a player who's 7.4 million. Able to find other midfielders who can give you something else. And of course, the elephant in the room is going to be blanking in game 31. So definitely a must sell for me if you still own Declan Rice. I think there are other better options out there at that price. So those are the players I've gone as the players to sell, and also my transfer tips ahead of game 30. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And if you want have any questions, make sure you DM me over on Instagram. Also check out my TikTok where I go live 2 hours before the deadline every time. And if you manage to reach this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.